Welcome back to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in Russia in the past 24 hours. The biggest Russia story today is a widening gap between Moscow's ability to generate ballistic pressure and Ukraine's ability to stop it. Russia's latest barrage killed at least 17 people in and around Kyiv after Ukrainian forces failed to intercept the ballistic portion of the attack. Ukraine did much better against the accompanying drones, but that success couldn't prevent the heaviest weapons from reaching the capital. That imbalance now looks like a campaign opportunity for Moscow. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says Allied interceptor deliveries have fallen to roughly one-third of last year's level. Russia can use drones to reveal defenses, consume ammunition, and complicate tracking before faster missiles arrive through the remaining seams. If that shortage continues into winter, power, heating, rail, and industrial infrastructure will face a much harder season. The strategic effect goes beyond physical damage. Every strike forces emergency repairs, interrupts movement, raises insurance costs, and creates new demands on Ukraine's partners. Moscow doesn't have to destroy the entire network at once. It can keep testing which nodes remain exposed and make Kyiv spend scarce interceptors faster than allies can replace them. Ukraine is answering with a deeper pressure campaign against Russia's fuel and logistics base. Ukrainian forces reported strikes on oil facilities in Bashkortostan and Yaroslavl, patrol boats in the Black Sea, and vessels tied to Russia's shadow fleet. The Yaroslavl refinery has reportedly been hit several times this year, showing that industrial distance is no longer the sanctuary it once was. Those operations impose repair costs and force Russia to spread air defenses across a huge map. They also offer Kyiv a way to contest the war when it can't intercept every incoming weapon. The hard part is scale. Ukraine can disrupt refineries and shipping nodes, while Russia still has the larger mechanism for imposing immediate damage on dense cities and national infrastructure. Moscow is cushioning the energy pressure through external support. Belarus reportedly sent record volumes of gasoline and diesel to Russia in July as refinery outages, maintenance, and drone strikes tightened domestic supply. That doesn't erase damage, but it can prevent a local shortage from becoming a national political problem. At the other end of the oil chain, China's Sinopec has increased purchases of Russia's ISPO crude as Middle Eastern supplies tighten. Yuan settlement and intermediaries help keep the flow moving. The combined picture is important. Belarus helps with refined products at home, while China helps sustain crude demand abroad. Russia buys time, and both partners gain more leverage over price, payment, and routing. The Black Sea is adding another layer of economic risk. Ukraine depends heavily on the Odessa area for agricultural exports, while Russia depends on maritime workarounds and a shadow fleet for revenue. Attacks don't need to sink large numbers of ships to change behavior. A few credible threats can push insurers, crews, terminal operators, and buyers to reroute or wait. Now add North Korea. Ukrainian intelligence says Russia intends to deploy roughly 90 North Korean personnel, up to 120 KN-23 and KN-24 missiles, and 6 launchers in the Voronezh region. That exact configuration hasn't been independently confirmed, but it fits a relationship that already includes troops, shells, missiles, engineers, and construction personnel. A dedicated missile unit would deepen the partnership in 2 directions. Russia gets more launch capacity while Ukraine's Patriot inventory is strained. North Korea gets operational experience against Western defenses, plus exposure to Russian targeting, maintenance, and electronic warfare. The battlefield lesson learned in Europe could eventually strengthen Pyongyang's posture in Asia. Europe is also preparing for pressure that stays below the threshold of an obvious attack. Lithuania's defense minister says national intelligence believes Russia could use captured Ukrainian drones in false flag incidents against the Baltic region. In Germany, authorities are investigating an explosive-laden drone found near Ukrainian Antonov aircraft at Leipzig-Halle Airport. Attribution in the German case remains unresolved, and the Lithuanian warning is an assessment rather than proof of an imminent operation. Still, both cases show how the security map has expanded. Airports, logistics hubs, undersea infrastructure, and civil aviation can all be tested through ambiguous incidents that create disruption while complicating a proportional response. Britain has added sanctions on ships, banks, and industrial entities tied to Russia's war economy. The measures will raise transaction costs, especially when partners enforce them against intermediaries. But Russia's response is adaptation, not passivity. The Kremlin is reshaping command, centralizing drone forces under Denis Lyamin, and trying to turn mass drone use into a more coherent military branch. That reshuffle is also a measure of constraint. Moving familiar commanders and creating a specialized branch can improve coordination, but it cannot by itself solve slowing advances, recruitment pressure, or the growing cost of defending rear infrastructure. Moscow is trying to extract more performance from the system it already has while preserving the appearance of continuity at the top. The distinction will matter if battlefield momentum remains limited. Institutional reform can produce tactical gains, yet prolonged dependence on Belarusian fuel, Chinese buyers, and North Korean missiles gives those partners a larger voice in Russia's strategic options. Russian audiences are getting a matching story about endurance. State coverage emphasizes a claim that 605 Ukrainian drones were neutralized overnight, military reorganization as modernization, and Western ammunition strain as evidence that time favors Moscow. Maritime and energy cooperation with Asia then provides the economic bookend. So the next watch point is the interaction of three clocks. Russia is trying to expand ballistic supply, Ukraine is waiting for interceptors, and both sides are testing how far they can widen the war without triggering a larger response. Another successful strike through Kyiv's defenses would confirm the pattern. A visible North Korean missile deployment would internationalize it further, and a confirmed sabotage operation on NATO territory would move the entire argument from resilience planning toward attribution and response. For now, Moscow holds the more scalable tool for immediate pressure. Ukraine is reaching deeper and making Russia pay, but it needs time, production, and allied ammunition to keep the strategic balance from sliding further. Thanks for listening. Go enjoy the rest of your day before the geopolitical situation gets worse again. For the full written brief, it's restrictedhandling.substack.com. We'll see you in the next one.